everyone, it's Joy here for Tailored Expressions, and I am super excited that I get to share their brand new colors that they've come out for ink and cardstock. So there's Pear, Rock Candy, and Concord Grape, and you have it in ink and cardstock. I'm showing you the ink, but I did not use the ink for my project today. I did just use the cardstock. I also used the Garden Variety 2, and then one little image from Garden Variety, that little leaf there. I'm using the Mandala Stencil, Simple Strips background, and the die. I am also using some little bits and pieces, Rhinestones, blender brushes, Toffee ink, VersaMark ink, and some white embossing powder. I'm going to start with a piece of Toffee Cardstock A2 sized, and I'm going to do tone on tone with the Toffee ink and my stencil here, and I'm just going to blend through. I want this to be my background, and I want it to be neutral because we're going to use those other three colors for our card design, and they sure do pop off of this background, and they are really fun colors together. So I'm just going to give this a really nice good ink blend, and this toffee color is so yummy, you guys. So let's peel back the stencil and look at how beautiful that is. Now I have die cut all of my greenery and my flowers. I'm going to adhere the centers together, and this is from the Garden Variety 2, with the exception of that little tiny, those tiny little green leaves to the right there. That is from the Garden Variety 1. So I'm going to add these little centers with the yummy color. So we've got the Rock Candy, or excuse me, we've got the Concord Grape for the large flowers. We have the Pear for some of those smaller flowers and the leaves. And then this greenery, the leaves here, is the Rock Candy, which is my favorite color out of all of them. I just think they're all fun, but this is my favorite color. So I have some foam adhesive circles behind some of those larger flowers. The other ones I'm just going to adhere directly to the background with a little bit of liquid glue. And I'm just doing this scattering around the stenciled background. I want to see some of that design. I want some open areas and some areas that just have these beautiful flowers, but look at how this color pops off. I am going to trim down some of those larger leaves because they don't need to be as big, and I will tuck them in near some of the smaller flowers here. Just trimming off some of that excess, and then we can tuck that in. And then we can start bringing in these little green pear leaves, and we can tuck those around. This is a super simple card design, you guys. So easy, but it really does show off these colors so wonderfully. I'm just deciding how many of those little green leaves I do want, because I do tend to like to have odd numbers of things. And so it was making sense to not have too many of them, but I did trim down some of those smaller Rock Candy leaves, and I tucked those in around a flower. Then we have our sentiment. So in the Misti, I have a half sheet of Toffee Cardstock. I am using the Simple Strips background stamp set. I am going to ink this up with VersaMark ink. I'm going to treat it with my anti-static powder tool, and we will use white embossing powder. I just thought a white sentiment on this background would be prettier than a black sentiment. So I'm going to ink this up with my VersaMark ink, and I'm going to ink this up a couple times. I like to do that. I really like to make sure I'm getting a nice, good, sharp image with that embossing ink, and you can kind of see it on the background because it's also a watermark ink, so you can tell if you have a good image or not. I'm going to sprinkle on my white embossing powder. I have my heat tool on already, getting nice and hot, and then I can heat this up until all of that embossing powder is shiny, and that's how you know that it's melted. Then there is the Simple Strips die, the coordinating die to die cut out all of these sentiments at one time, which is so nice. So I'm going to tape that in place, run that through my die cut machine, add some foam adhesive strips to the back of that sentiment, and this sentiment says, "You are simply fabulous." And then I'm going to add these little rhinestones to the front of my card, and this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. But look at those fun colors. I just love them so much, and this card design turned out really cute. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. You can find all of these products at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com.